I know we're recording and I got faithful.
No, so today I was on Twitter and
Specifically today.
I'm on Twitter all the time, but I was on Twitter today, and I saw somebody like tweeted out how the line for the Krispy Kreme, or Krispy Kreme's open in Baton Rouge, and the line of cars was like a mile down the street. People waiting for Krispy Kreme donuts.
Of course.
Guys, this is how we cannot fight immune attackers like COVID.
Well, yeah, this is how to not fight COVID.
Yeah, like our first line of defense is the damn immune system, and sons of bitches out there are going out and waiting in line for an hour for a damn donut that's not even the best donut in town.
No. I mean, I remember before we even had to shut down, you and I had a whole conversation. I was like, when this thing like really hits the U.S., the numbers are going to skew because we're so freaking unhealthy.
So unhealthy.
And like, look how, okay, all the time I thought like this was incredibly sweet. Like anyone that donated food to healthcare workers, kudos. Right. But like, you're feeding them like pizza and cookies and like, they are stressed. They are worn down.
They already have a tough time because they can't sleep well.
And what are you feeding? Like, you're not helping. You're helping them, but like, come on.
You're not. You're helping them, but you're not. So anyway, that's the thing that pissed me off today. Anything piss you off today? Just that one? Just that.
I mean, we won't get into what made me upset today.
All right. And with that being said, this is the Rue Fitness Podcast.
Look at that segue.
I am Bradley Schneller, and this is
Sarah Altabello.
Hello, and welcome back. Today,
in my head, I'm just like, oh, they're back on their bullshit today.
So, today, we are talking about what it's been like to be back in the gym. How are we treating ourselves? We'll talk a little Murph.
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit. I mean, I know I talk to you about programming all the time and your intentions, but talking about how that's been going and your plans around that, and yeah.
Yeah. So we are now. This is the third week, second full week.
This is the second full week.
Not even full week.
It's been really hard. So we reopened on a Friday, right? It was Monday vibes all day. So we reopened on a Monday.
And then we had a weekend.
Last week was our first full week, and then we had Memorial Day. So it's been a little extra tough trying to get back into a routine, I think.
When you said it's been and like paused, I wanted to say 1 week since you looked at me.
I mean, why didn't you? It's fine.
The Chinese chicken, have a drumstick and your brain starts ticking, watching X-Files with no lights on.
I'm going to stop you right there.
Yeah. So the intentions for our programming in the beginning here were to ramp everyone up. Now,
I mean, you say that. You have been throwing some pretty tough workouts at us.
Yeah, I have been throwing a lot of tough workouts at you. So it's been tough from an intensity standpoint, maybe.
Right.
Not tough from a skill or weight aspect. So skill plus weight can cause form to deteriorate, and which can create injury, especially after being basically without a barbell for 60 plus days, or gymnastics movements and things like that. So we started to bring back pull-ups in, but it's strict and measured.
Yeah.
So.
And I will say I feel like the Metcons have been very challenging, but in terms of any kind of strength or weightlifting, it's all been like heavy for that day.
Right.
I didn't think you would, but it's really nice to not see any percentages. So for those of you that don't know or haven't worked out this way before, a lot of the strength we did before this, you would set that each person would work off of X percentage of their 1 rep max in that lift. And even when I was talking to Jonathan, he said if your coach is giving you percentages in the gym, you need to go even less than that because those numbers don't exist right now for you.
And we are not doing percentages because none of our 1 rep maxes are what they would be. So I put a lot of comments in our programming which talk about relative strength or what's relatively heavy for you today. In fact, we are doing some cleans as of when you were listening to this podcast, when we're recording it tomorrow. And I put a note in there, 4 to 6 reps, hang power cleans, relatively heavy. So relatively heavy means it feels heavy to you so that you don't push yourself past a certain point.
Right.
And that kind of got us, that made me think about Murph. And it was very reassuring for me. We had a meeting. We talked to all the coaches. We talked to Jonathan about what were we going to do for Murph, what were our plans. From a gym perspective, having everyone do pull-ups would be a shit show. So
yeah, absolutely.
So we didn't do that. Second of all, from a safety standpoint, none of us have been doing pull-ups, so we decided not to do pull-ups. Does that mean that you and I could have done pull-ups? Yeah, we probably could have. A couple of things that come with that, though. I don't think it's fair for us to decide who can do pull-ups and who can't.
Right.
And I'm not going to tell someone, okay, well, Sarah and I are going to do pull-ups, but you guys can't.
Right.
I just don't think that's right. So kind of in solidarity, we did that. The third part of that is it only takes once. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that is, let's say you do Murph 10 times, okay, and you can do it with a vest, with pull-ups 10 times, and it takes you 2.5 hours, which is silly. But anyway.
Just stop.
Yeah, just stop. But 1 out of those 10 times, it only takes 1 time, and you could hurt yourself. And if you injure yourself, well, then you can't work out for the next 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, maybe worse. Maybe you require surgery. I don't know. Or even if it stops you for 2 weeks. And Sarah and I talked about this a lot. I said, your biggest fear was, not necessarily a fear, but you were like, I just got back into the gym. I don't want to take myself out of the gym for a week.
Right. I don't want to even major injuries aside, or major
hand tear.
bumps, bruises. Yes. I didn't want to tear. My hands are the softest they have been in 5 years. If I could have wrapped them any kind of which way. If I'm doing 100 pull-ups, my hands were going to rip.
Yeah.
And that is going to affect and put a damper on the rest of my training for the week. And I'm not training for anything other than to be super fit right now.
Yeah.
For those of you that aren't super familiar, I think most people are by now, Murph is a workout. It's extended past the CrossFit community, but a lot of people do every Memorial Day in honor of all veterans, but
Lieutenant Michael Murphy. The movie Lone Survivor is after him and his squad. It's a mile run, 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, 300 air squats, mile run with a 20 or 14-pound weight vest.
And I think the thing with Hero WOD's workouts is that they are supposed to be grueling. They are supposed to be tough, but they are not, I think, meant to harm you.
Right.
And you have to go in with that mindset that you're going to push yourself, but you injuring yourself or going way past your threshold, wherever it is that year, that day, is not honoring anyone. Showing up, doing the work to your best of your ability, and then knowing when to call it a day, that's the best thing you can do for yourself.
Yeah, and I mean, there's something to say, I had a realization this time, so we modified it to kettlebell swings. And like I said, I was reassured by seeing a lot of the gyms that I respect around the country modified theirs as well.
Yeah. Not only that, I think I told you today, I saw a woman that has been on teams in the CrossFit Games and Wadapalooza and big competitions. She was very upfront. She and her girlfriend split up the reps.
Yeah.
She did the pull-ups, but she did half of them.
Right. Yeah. And so when I look at gym owners that I respect across the country that run solid gyms and they're all doing kettlebell swings as well or some type of variation, it's very reassuring, but there's a lot of us that are in, good hands, should I say.
Yeah.
Now, I want to say, this was a very enjoyable Murph for me. it was super hot. And we did it with kettlebell swings. We kind of scaled up the kettlebell. I used a 100-pound kettlebell. Sarah used a 70-pound kettlebell.
Yeah.
But, we talked about it beforehand. What was our goal? Our goal was to go as fast as possible.
Yeah.
Because we don't have a vest on. We're doing kettlebell swings. Let's just burn this out.
I just wanted to do sub 40 minutes.
Right.
And we spent probably longer than we needed to one morning trying to do the math with how long we
I don't know why we even did that.
And transitions and whatever. So with all of that done, I said sub 40. You did it the day before I did.
Right. So the cool thing about this workout that I thought, and I kind of texted you in excitement later that day, is that it was tough in the moment. It was hot. We worked hard for basically 40 straight minutes. Okay?
Or it was just there was a torrential downpour.
Or there was a torrential downpour. And afterwards, you were recovered in less than 10 minutes.
I did it yesterday morning at 7:30, and then I coached the 8:30 class. Did not feel lightheaded, like I was not present.
Right.
And I told you, usually about 15 minutes after I finish Murph, I have turned down a beer, and I get offered again, and I take the beer because I realize that my body is useless for the rest of the day, so I might as well drink at 8:30 a.m.
Yeah, and then you're probably walking around all decrepit.
Yeah.
For the whole day. So
I had 2 Fit Aids, a beer, half a liter of water, and
yeah, I felt
don't know my name.
The 2 hours, 3 hours after, I rode a serious endorphin rush, and I felt great. My body felt great. I honestly felt like I could just turn around, go back, and do the whole thing again, 2 hours later, which is pretty cool. But I came to this realization. I was man, this is how we should feel after most workouts.
Yeah.
I shouldn't on a rest day be walking around like I can barely walk. Now I'm walking around right now like I can barely walk because I had track practice this morning, and my legs are pretty blown up from my track practice. But that is different from exercise. I am training for a purpose, a singular moment in time, actually, with that.
Yeah, I think it was a good reminder that I think it's perfectly normal after a really tough workout, especially in this heat, to just feel general fatigue.
Right.
Maybe, you're oh, I'll probably go to bed half an hour early tonight. But if you are continually feeling like you are dragging yourself out of the gym and it is painful to do your day-to-day activities afterwards or the morning after, then you're pushing it way too hard.
Yeah, and look, I would say this, learn from the people that have walked before you. And I mean by that is I've done this, Sarah's done this, we've all done this where we have beat our heads against the wall for months at a time because we want to I don't even know what the word is, but we want to destroy the workout, whatever it is. We want to tackle every feat and we want to feel like badasses, right?
Right.
And then come to find out is 6 months later, you're not doing yourself any favors.
I don't want this to come across the wrong way. And this is something I wrote about and I talked to Jonathan about when I wrote last week's blog. But I do think, not that you should go out and purposely get yourself injured.
Right.
But I know for myself, for you, for members that I know who have dealt with injuries and approached their recovery from a smart way, I'm seeing those people succeed right now.
Oh, absolutely.
And get the most benefit out of these workouts and every single day.
Yeah, now I'll say this, because if you have a goal, if your goal is I want to compete in an RX competition wherever or do some athletic feat, then maybe you bang your head against the wall for 6 months, a year, But once you accomplish that, now it's now let's dial it down and let's train to live, right? Because we aren't getting paid. None of us are getting paid to do this. I mean exercise. Not this podcast nor coach you, but to exercise. That's a little different. So, it just changes things. So I'm training for this race with Jonathan, and I will push myself through some things right now.
Right.
because there is a limited time for me to run. I have to be smart because I need to be able to run every single time. But if it's something that's not detrimental, I will push myself through. Now, I am not racing for money, so I am racing for purely pride and bragging rights.
There are going to be so many cool runnings videos coming your way.
So whereas Gerald might take a week off or 2 weeks off, he's running for his career,
Right. And I know we're going to have Jonathan on, and y'all are going to talk about your training more specifically at a later date. But you're running, 3 days a week specifically? Like, that is your priority?
Yeah.
If you work out after, it's very thought out. The days you are not running, you talk to Gerald, you look at your training, it's very focused. You might keep 1, maybe 2 days a week of running after this, but you're not going to keep up that level of intensity indefinitely.
Right. So, for example, I knew I had to train on Tuesday. This is Tuesday when we're recording this podcast. So everyone else was doing Murph on Monday. We did an endurance class with Murph on Sunday. So I decided that I wanted to do it on Sunday so that I would have 2 days of recovery before I had to train specifically for this race on Tuesday. So I did that. Just to give you an idea of how I structured that is I did Murph. I felt great. I came in Monday. I had to coach at 7:30, so I came in at 6 a.m. and I basically warmed up for 45 minutes and then did all my drills, my running drills, even though I wasn't running. It's something I try to do on a daily basis, despite the fact that I'm not running. And then I squatted. Now, I didn't squat heavy because my legs were sauced from the 300 air squats, but I did squat with weight, did a little bit of chest work, and then that was it. So I called it a day. And then I plan to do some deadlifts later. That's about it.
And I think all of this goes back to something Jonathan talked about and something I try to do with my own training as well. He suggested right now, like maybe picking 1 day a week where you just go all out. Mm-hmm. And then the other days you just go in, you do it, feels good.
Right.
You walk away from it. I take that on an even smaller level and look at what you have programmed for that day. And I put my focus on one thing.
Yeah.
Today, maybe it's strength. And then in the workout after that, I'll just move, but I don't have any goals in mind. I'll just see how I feel.
Do you also maybe dial up or take down the intensity in a workout based off of how you're feeling at that moment?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like if you're feeling good, be like, oh, I might go a little bit harder because I feel really good with everything.
Or today, or yesterday. So
it's so confusing how we do this.
I know. So you are listening on Wednesday. For those room members, I just finished the Tuesday workout. The Tuesday workout, Bradley called the ball buster. 20 minutes, lots of med ball work. Very hard on the shoulders after doing 200 push-ups the day before. So going into the workout, I had gone heavier on my deadlifts than I planned. So that was my focus. And then I said, on the workout, I just don't want to break any of the individual movements up. So when I start a movement, I'm going to finish all of the reps before I break and go on to the next one. And after the first round, I could tell that I felt pretty good at my pace. So then the focus just became good, clean movement for the remainder of the 18 minutes. And I stayed really slow, but just focused on good movement because I didn't want to, with the fatigue from yesterday, hurt myself.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think it's so the point with all of this, right? If you haven't caught it yet, is that everyone needs to be aware of how they feel in a workout, maybe why the coaches are telling you a certain thing, like it's for your own safety, it's for your own good. We'll push you when it looks like you can be pushed. Now, sometimes it looks like you can be pushed and you can't be pushed, and you shoot us a look and we're good. Okay.
I gave you one during Murph yesterday. So
yeah. I was like, Sarah, she was running back for the first 800. I was like, Sarah, try to kick it up every 100 meters.
No, you said 50. I was like,
50.
I'm just trying not to walk right now, fool. Like, no.
I did say that.
You're like, okay, this last 800, every 50 meters, kick it up a little. I was like, no. Goodbye.
So anyway, that was a perfectly normal response. And I was like, okay, she's good. She knows what's up.
I think, so we've said it a million times and talking with members a lot lately, you show up differently when it's in a class versus when you're in your backyard by yourself. So that's great. People are pushing themselves more, but I think now that we are back in the gym, we are seeing other people that we maybe in our head we're competing with. The ego, it's easy to let the ego creep back in a little bit.
Oh, look, when I do my training, I try to run 80 to 90% every single time. Okay. It's rare that I hit 100%. Well,
yeah, y'all, just a side note, in general, you should not be doing 100% every day.
No, absolutely not. So, David Buckingham and Ross Balachi came shout out to NOLA Rugby. They came and ran with us today on the track. And we had to do 4 100s. We had 15 seconds rest in between each 100. And we even did a staggered start. So, like, we did it in lanes. Me, Ross was a few meters ahead, and then Buck was a few meters ahead of that. It turned out into a fucking race.
Yeah?
It was a race. And that was not in my intentions. And so what ended up happening is our legs were destroyed after.
Yeah.
So try not to get caught up in it. Like, it can happen, but you have to self-monitor yourself. And then just remember, like, there is more exercise, more fitness to be had the next day, the day after that. Guys, our goal here for you is to be able to work out for the rest of your life.
Absolutely.
So this is a key component to help develop and, I guess, flourish a good immune system.
Absolutely.
And we want to be part of that, and it's more important than ever, just like with the donuts we were talking about earlier, that your immune system be super high. Cardiovascular health is a part of that as well, and we want you guys here to be in it for the long haul, and then enjoy all those fringe benefits of looking good in front of a mirror.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say this year, I have noticed the biggest overall improvement in my health.
Oh, good.
And I think a lot of that was I did go through the intensity of training for something, and I was really dialed in last August for a competition. And then I loosened the reins a bit, but I found a good balance, and I'm probably the least injured. I haven't really been sick,
Right.
And I can't tell you how long. So
I want to throw this out there.
What?
Because as coaches, like, we tend, maybe not you, but me, Shane, we tend to bullshit the warm up, and through my training, like with Gerald, I've realized how important the warm up is, and I always knew the warm up was important. Kevin harps on the warm up all the time. Lots of people do, and the warm up is extremely important. But in terms of, like, feeling good in the workout, don't feel like you're on the cusp of injury, and then feeling good when the workout is done, the warm-up is so important.
I will say, and Omari, if he ever listened to these, would roll his eyes so hard right now. I'm still kind of bad about if I'm not doing class.
Right.
Even if I'm just doing what you wrote, I'll do the warm-up.
Right.
But if I am just kind of doing my own thing, I will totally half-ass the warm-up, and I need to be better about that.
Well, I just recently started getting better at, like, stretching throughout the day, and then, like, full body recovery in the, I own a Theragun, so now I'm, like, Theragunning myself. I'm stretching at home, doing other stretching, and it's been huge for how I feel in the gym.
Right.
I've actually felt like it makes me a little bit better. Like I felt great running in Murph, even the second mile. And I think all the stretching I've been doing has been helping.
Oh
big
yeah.
time.
I mean, warm up aside, you're truly only as good in the gym as you are in your recovery and your nutrition. 100%.
Yeah.
You can show up and crush it in the gym, but you're never going to see true progress elsewhere. Like, or in general, if you're not recovering and sleeping and eating well, you just aren't.
So if you've made it 25 minutes in and you are wondering what's the point of what Sarah and I have been babbling about this entire time, is that your journey here is all encompassing. The fitness aspect of it, the stretching, mobility, recovery, nutrition, all is a part of A, you being super healthy, B, you hitting the goals that you want to hit, whether that's performance, health, or aesthetic-wise. Because if you might think that like recovery or mobility doesn't have anything to do with you aesthetically. However, if you are not properly mobilized, if you are not properly recovered, you cannot hit the workouts like you would want to hit them, which then affects your aesthetics. And then nutrition, which is the basis for all of that.
Yep.
So get with it. If you have questions with nutrition or you're struggling with that, Sarah, what should they do?
They should head over to rue.fitness. We have a whole page for nutrition. You can come in, whether you're a Rue member or not, and get an in-body scan and see what's actually going on beyond the scale, which is really interesting. And I kind of don't know how we functioned without this tool before. Or we also have myself and 3 other nutrition coaches that can work with you one-on-one to create a program tailored to you, your goals, your habits, and your history, your story.
Awesome. All right, y'all. If you haven't done it yet, make sure to give us a 5-star rating or not.
Don't give them the option to not.
Well, I mean, listen, like, don't give us a rating or 5 stars.
There you go.
Make sure to leave us a review. We love the reviews. Hope you're enjoying the podcast. And then subscribe to us as well. So rate, review, subscribe. We appreciate it. Hope you guys are having fun. Next week, we will be talking with Jonathan about his training, my training, why my training's superior to his training, why I'm going to beat him in the race.
Okay, I want
and all
you to
that
get
stuff.
it out now because you two have sworn to keep this like relatively
That's it.
mellow.
That's all I'm going to have to say. So, all right, y'all. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.